Hey everyone, in today's video we are going to read All My Sons by Arthur Miller. Genre is tragedy drama. It is written in 1947. It is set in post-World War II America. Introduction. All My Sons is a powerful play written by Arthur Miller. It is a family drama mixed with tragedy focused on truth, guilt, responsibility, and morality. The story takes place just after World War II in the backyard of the Keller family. The main conflict is about the wrong decisions made during the war and how they affect the lives of innocent people. Arthur Miller used the story to show how one personal selfish action can harm any others. The play is based on a true story that Miller read in a newspaper about a war-related crime. He wanted to show that people must take responsibility not only for their families but also for the larger society. Main characters of this chapter are Joe Keller, a businessman and father. He owns a factory that made airplane parts during the war. Kate Keller is Joe's wife. She refuses to believe that her son Larry is dead. Chris Keller, their son, he wants to marry Anne, who was Larry's girlfriend. Anne Deaver, Larry's former fiancée, now in love with Chris. George Deaver, Anne's brother. He comes back angry after learning the truth about his father's jailing. Steve Deaver, Anne and Joe's former business partner who is in jail. So let's discuss the All My Son full act-wise detailed summary. In this play, we have 3 acts. Act 1, The Calm Before the Storm. Setting is the entire play takes place in the backyard of the Joe Keller house somewhere in America in August after World War II. It is a quite normal looking home but secrets are buried deep inside. Main characters introduced are Joe Keller, Kate Keller, Chris Keller, Anne Deaver, Dr. Jim Bayless and Sue Bayless, Frank Lube. What happens actually? The play begins with the news that a tree planted in the memory of Larry, Joe and Kate's missing son has fallen during the night storm. This tree falling is a symbolic, like a sign from nature that something hidden is about to be revealed. Kate Keller is still living in Daniel, even though it has been over 3 years since Larry disappeared during the war. She still believes that he is alive and will return one day. She says she had a dream about him the night the tree fell, which is why she believes it's a sign. Chris Keller, on the other hand, has accepted that Larry is gone. He is now in love with Anne Deaver, Larry's old girlfriend, and wants to marry her. Anne is visiting their house because Christ called her. Anne also loves Christ, but both know that Kate will not accept their marriage because for Kate, that would mean accepting that Larry is dead. We also learn that Anne's father, Steve Deaver, is in prison. He used to be Joe Keller's business partner during the war. Cracked airplane cylinder head were shipped from their factory to the military. This led to the crash and death of 21 pilots. Steve was arrested and found guilty, while Joe was cleared of all charges because he said he was sick that day and not at the factory. Anne has cut all ties with her father as she believes he was guilty and caused those deaths. But the truth behind the story is unclear and it will be the heart for the whole drama. The act ends with the tension rising as George Deaver, Anne's brother, calls and says he is coming to visit after just seeing their father in jail. He seems upset and emotional. Everyone gets nervous, especially Joe and Kate. Act 2, Truth Comes Knocking. Setting is in the same backyard later in the day. New characters are George Deaver. He is Anne's brother, a lawyer who has just returned from seeing his father in prison. What happened actually in the Act 2? George Deaver arrives. He has just visited his father Steve in jail and now he believes Steve is innocent and Joe is the real guilty one. He tells Anne not to marry Chris and to come back home with him. He also speaks angrily to Joe and Kate. While speaking with Kate, George starts noticing some strange thing. Kate says something by accident that makes it sound like Joe was not sick on the day the broken parts were shipped. This contradicts Joe's official story. Then Chris enters and George leaves angrily. Chris is upset that George tried to interfere in their lives, but now Chris starts asking questions to Joe. Slowly the truth starts coming out. Joe finally admits to Chris that he told Steve to send out the crack part. He said that he did it to save the business, thinking that the army would inspect the parts before using them, but the parts were not inspected and 21 pilots dead. Joe tells Chris, I did it for you, for the family, but Chris is horrified. For Chris, this is not just about the business, it's about morality and responsibility. He tells Joe that he should have thought of those dead pilots as his own sons. They were all my sons, Chris says. These words are the heart of the play. Chris leaves heartbroken. His image of his father has been destroyed. He had believed Joe to be an honest, good man. Now he sees that his father's greed and cowardice led to death and lies. The act ends with Joe sitting alone, worried and broken. Act 3 is about the price of truth. Setting is in the same place late at night. What happens? Kate and Joe are sitting quietly, waiting for Christ to return. Joe doesn't fully understand why Christ is so angry. Joe keeps saying that he only did what any father would do. He did it for the family. Anne is angry too. She wants the truth to come out. She gives Kate a letter that Larry wrote to her on the day he went on his final flight. In the letter, Larry says that he is going to crash his plane intentionally and kill himself because he found out what his father Joe had done. Larry felt so ashamed of his father's crime that he chose to die. This letter proved that Larry is dead and that Joe's action caused his son's suicide. Chris comes home. He now wants Joe to return himself in. Joe is shocked by Larry's letter. At first he refuses, but slowly he realizes that he is truly responsible not just for the 21 dead pilots, but also for his own son's death. He says, I think to him, they were all my sons, finally understanding the deep truth. But instead of going to the police, Joe goes inside the house and shoots himself. The play ends with Kate telling Christ not to feel guilty. Forget now, live. Themes in All My Sons are responsibility, guilt, Daniel, the American dream, truth, justice, betrayal, family, war and its effects, idealism versus practical thinking, and the last one is hope and despair. So these are 11 themes which is very important in this drama. So if you like this video, then please subscribe and share with all your friends. Till then, Har Har Mahadev.